OSCE Chairperson-in-Office, Didier Burgalter, to support national dialogue roundtables led and organized by Ukrainian government as part of solution of current crisis. Ambassador Ischinger is a career diplomat with extensive experience in specifically conflict resolution and conflict mediation. For more than 5 years, he was chairing a top-level security Munich security conference, and he also had a role in negotiations to resolve various crises in the Balkans, in Bosnia and in Kosovo. So here, as I mentioned, Ambassador Ischinger represents the chairmanship. This is a part of support provided to the Ukrainian government in promoting national dialogue in resolving this crisis. So I give the floor to Ambassador Ischinger, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It is a pleasure for me to be here, and I apologize for not having found an earlier opportunity to meet with you, with the media, during my activities here in Ukraine. I would like to make some brief initial remarks, and then I look forward to whatever questions you may have. First, let me just say how grateful I am, not only to the trust expressed to me by the Chairman-in-Office, President, by giving me this mandate. I also want to express my gratitude to the government, in particular to the Prime Minister of Ukraine and his cabinet, and many individuals for the support which I've enjoyed over these last 10 days or so. Thirdly, I would like to highlight the role of my two co-chairs, the two former presidents of Ukraine, Kravchuk and Kuchma, who conducted this project, Roundtables, I believe with great experience and authority. And it was a pleasure for me to work with them in preparing and conducting these roundtables. And last but not least, I want to pay tribute to Jane Harman, one of the most time members of Congress of the United States. Jane Harman, who is here with us today, is actually my current employer, because when I was ripped away from my previous activity, I was associated with the Wilson Center, of which Jane is the chairman and president, and I hope to be able to return to the Wilson Center to continue my work there rather soon. So welcome, Jane. On the roundtables, let me just make a few brief points. First, the idea of defining instruments which can help conduct, enhance national dialogue, the idea first presented at the Geneva meeting on the 17th of April, and then worked out and refined by the roadmap presented by the Chairman-in-Office of OSCE. I believe this idea of roundtables is a good one. We have had prepared at very short notice, within hours, just a few hours each. We've now had 3 of these events in Kiev, in Kharkiv, and in Nikolaev. And I have to say that I see, you know, a curve that moves upward. We've been getting better each time. I urged for maximum inclusiveness of these roundtables. I urged that we include as many groups, political, religious, ideological, as possible, from the churches to the trade unions, from the party of the regions to the exact other side. And I believe that is a good idea, and it is beginning to work. Should roundtables of this nature be continued after the elections? I have been listening to the government. I believe the current government shares my view that this would be a good idea, and I strongly favor an effort to continue, whether at the national or at the regional or at the local level, these instruments of consensus building. Let me also say that if I could make these decisions alone, I would arrange yet another roundtable even before the elections, today or tomorrow or on Saturday. But I have to admit that human energy ends at some point, and I do understand that this is a country that is only 3 days away from elections, and that many people actually also have to go out and campaign and prepare the technical electoral process. So while some things like yet another roundtable before the elections is highly desirable from my point of view, I understand that we have to exercise a degree of realism, but I do believe that we all share the view that after the elections it should be continued. I have been asked many times, how effective can this roundtable be? And I quote some of your colleagues from the media, if the separatists aren't even invited. Well, let me tell you something. The separatists have declared over and over again, and I hope you are all aware of this, that the last thing they want to do is sit down with the government in a formal setting for this kind of discussion. So even if I or the two former presidents or all of us together had sent gold-embroidered invitation cards to Donetsk and Lugansk, they would not have shown up. So please be fair. Don't just blame the government for not inviting them. Let's not confuse a kind of a, let me call it a peace negotiation. That you would not want to conduct at a table with 150 participants. So I think there is a difference between a roundtable, consensus building, open platform, and an effort to arrange discussions between adversaries in a rather serious conflict. For that, a different format, I believe, would certainly be required. My next point is outreach. I want you to know that I have done my best to not only these roundtable discussions, I have also tried to meet as many representatives outside the roundtables of Ukrainian society as possible. I traveled at the invitation of Governor Teruda. I traveled to Donetsk. I met with Mr. Akhmetov. I met with members of the Party of Regions, both in Donetsk and here. I met with the mayor of Donetsk. I have not had a moment of free time in this period because I wanted to listen to everybody who was prepared to talk to me, and I've done so. I would like to finally pay tribute to the apparently increasing willingness of important business leaders like Mr. Akhmetov to actually take things into their hand without using violent methods, by bringing out the folks, the citizens, in places like Mariupol and elsewhere, and to create a spirit of unity and to try to help allow, hopefully, fair and free elections. Let me make two final points before we can take your questions. In all my discussions, both at the roundtables and outside of the roundtables, both here in Kiev and in the provinces, I have not found a serious political person who actually believes that Donbass, the future of that region, will be better served if it is cut off from Ukraine. I have not met a single serious person who believes that the economic conditions of the population of Donbass will not suffer if there is that kind of a separatist decision. In other words, my personal impression, and here I can only speak on my own behalf, my own personal impression is that the so-called separatist movement enjoys less support by the population than is sometimes presented. What I find is that there is a great deal of anger with government, present and past, in Kiev, that there is great unhappiness about the lack of decentralization, which is, I believe, the single most challenging task for the leadership of this country in the period ahead. But, you know, being unhappy with your central government and carving up the country is two different things. And let's be clear what we have here. We have a lot of unhappiness, and in my view, not a lot of people who really want to leave Ukraine. Finally, quite frankly, I believe that Ukrainians are as entitled to pride and patriotism as are Americans, Danes, Poles, or for that matter, Italians, or Russians. And it is wrong, in my view, to start denouncing each and every expression of national pride and unity as an emerging sign of fascism. Again, I believe there is a huge difference between being proud of your nation and of your identity and of pursuing fascist ideas. And believe me, as a German, I know something. I've studied it. I know a little bit about what fascism is and how horrible it is. Last point. When I say that I hope, and I could not hear what the preceding speaker was presenting to you, but I do hope that there will be no military force used between now and the end of the electoral process in order to allow the electoral process to go forward. And I hope that message is being heard not only by the government side, but also by the other side. This is my sincere hope, and I don't care whether there will be a formal arrangement or whether simply both sides are wise enough to try to allow its course this coming weekend. Having said that, my worry is that if there is a calming down of the situation for this weekend, hopefully, my worry is that I hope that then not next Monday things will start flaring up again, because that would render the international situation for Ukraine, the difficult discussions with Moscow, more difficult. So I think we need to not only think about today, tomorrow, and Sunday, we also need to think about Monday and beyond. Let me conclude by one word about Russia. I have made an effort, both personally and through official contacts, to keep in the closest possible touch with the Geneva parties, with the government of the United States of America, both here locally and in Washington, D.C., with the European Union through their ambassador here, and direct contacts in Brussels and in capitals. And with the Russian Federation, equally with a number of contacts here in Kiev and also directly in Moscow. I wanted to make sure that the Geneva parties understand that through the Chairman-in-Office, I work to implement their agreement of the 17th of April. And I do see indications that Russia is sending out signals designed to express some degree of willingness to accept the elections, willingness to send signals of de-escalation, announcements about troop withdrawals, in parentheses, not yet verified, etc. But still, so I do appreciate the fact that there is maybe not as much as everybody would like to see, but there is some degree of willingness by all Geneva parties to help move this process forward. For Sunday, let me say that I appeal to all Ukrainians, not only to go out and vote, to practice democracy on Sunday, to help others go to vote, to prevent people from preventing others from voting. I appeal to those who have the power to do so, like Mr. Akhmetov and other powerful business leaders, to use their means to help conduct these elections in a peaceful way. Every vote counts, and every polling station counts. So I appeal to all those who have a role to play here, don't give up. If one district in Donetsk can vote, it's better than if no district in Donetsk can vote. And if two districts can vote, it's better than if only one district can vote. Every vote counts. And once again, finally, to the government and also to those who use violent means in the East to oppose the government, I appeal to lay down arms, at least for the time needed to conduct these elections. Now your questions. Thank you very much.
Please, your questions, but before Ambassador Ischinger takes the question, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that there are so many institutions and mechanisms of OSCE enacted in response to this crisis that obviously there is some room for confusion. So I would like to invite you to use the fact sheets describing all those different forms that we've prepared, and they are in the back of this room at the table. So please, questions. Okay, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ischinger, for meeting us. Christian Esch, Berliner Zeitung. Has there been anybody you wanted very much to speak to who refused to talk to you?
No. But, you know, the day only has 24 hours, and I've only been here for a number of days, so I admit I have not spoken with everybody with whom I might wish to speak had I more time in this country. But I have had opportunities to speak with all those with whom I really needed and wanted to speak.
Radio Liberty, Bogdana Kostyuk, Ambassador. Russian.
Where are you? Oh, there.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Russian propaganda likes to tell horrible stories about high level of anti-Semitism and xenophobia in Ukraine. So what's your opinion, and did you have a choice to meet in Donetsk, maybe in Kiev, representatives of national communities, including the Jewish one? Thank you.
Well, let me first say that, of course, we are now discussing a number of issues that really don't fall within the precise mandate that I have from the Chairman-in-Office of OSCE. But I believe the Chairman-in-Office will forgive me if I answer questions that go a little bit beyond. So I will give you my personal impression. My impression is, and again, I've only been here on the ground for 8 or 9, 10 days. I have not encountered the kind of anti-Semitic movement that is often mentioned. I have not found it. I have found senior members of this government who happen to be Jewish, and I've just discussed last night on the way back from Nikolaev with those senior members of the government a plan for senior members of this government to visit Israel in the very near future. So my impression is that this is invented. I haven't found it.
Mr. Ischinger, Tagesspiegel Berlin, Nina Jeglinski, hello. Do you think the separatist is a monolithic bloc, or is there a group you might talk to maybe after the elections or in the next future?
Again, you're asking me a question that goes a little bit beyond my mandate. But again, I will try to give you my impression. My impression is that yes, this is not a monolithic group. My impression goes even a little further. My impression is not that all of this movement or all of these groups are fulfilling, if you wish, precise instructions from quote-unquote Moscow. I believe that there are various groups with various degrees of different objectives, and that they very often don't even coordinate in any meaningful way. And my impression is not, you tell me if I'm wrong, my impression is not that all these groups receive their instructions directly from the Kremlin.
What's your opinion about the story with Russian journalist Mr. Sedikov and Mr. Sachenko from Life News who were arrested by Kiev government?
Again, this is a question that is beyond my mandate. I believe that after me, a representative of the Special Monitoring Mission of OSCE will be taking the floor, and I'm sure he can speak more in greater detail about this. All I can say is that I can assure you that to the extent that OSCE regards it as its job to try to obtain the release of such persons, OSCE is making these efforts as we speak, but I can't go into details.
Okay, so we will.
Deutsche Welle. First of all, you mentioned that the talks are improving each time, you say. What specific progress is being made? And secondly, we've met several election officials in Donetsk who say they've been threatened with their lives and intimidated. You said it's good enough if one polling station opens. How is that going to happen in these circumstances?
Oh, these are two questions, right? Let me take the second question first. Let me repeat. The more polling stations can be operated, the better. Every effort ought to be made. It is terribly disappointing to hear, and of course I've heard these stories, that people apparently are afraid, are being intimidated to vote. Not only are people intimidated, also the officials who are supposed to control and supervise the voting are being intimidated. That's terrible. That shouldn't happen in a modern democratic country. It's awful, and it's actually probably a crime. But here we are. What was your first question?
What's the specific progress in the round?
Oh, yes, of course. Look, some people initially mistook or misunderstood the roundtable process as if we are some kind of ersatz parliament or, you know, Security Council of the United Nations or so. The roundtable is a roundtable is a roundtable. It's not a decision-making organ of either the international community or of Ukraine. What we are trying to do is promote open dialogue, allowing people to let off steam, and allowing people to be heard by their own government and other people in authority. And I think that has worked. More concretely, at the second roundtable, one member of the roundtable, Mr. Nowinski, presented a piece of paper. I imagine you all know this, but I will tell you again. This piece of paper was then taken up by the Rada, debated at length, changed to some extent, and was actually approved in a vote, and this is now the one fundamental expression of change, of constitutional change, of decentralization, of various other reform objects, that has actually been officially approved by the authorities of this country. So, in fact, you can argue that we've been successful. Okay.
Dear colleagues, so Ambassador Ischinger has to leave, but we still have here Ambassador Apakan, the OSCE Chief Monitor, to pick up the OSCE flag and take further questions that are within his competence. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I might be familiar to some of you. You're certainly familiar to me. Michael Buchurku, I'm the spokesperson for the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Ambassador Apakan, our Chief Monitor. He's been here for about 1 month now as Chief Monitor of the Special Monitoring Mission. Ambassador Apakan is one of the most senior Turkish diplomats, statesmen. He's also an academic, negotiator, and very briefly, former permanent representative of Turkey to the United Nations, as well as former Undersecretary of the Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, Ambassador Apakan will say a few words about the mission and about some of what we've been seeing, and then we'll take some questions as well. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Special Monitoring Mission has been on the ground almost for 2 months' time. And my experience with Ukraine is only 4 weeks. Our teams started with a number of 100 monitors. Now we are reaching to 210. And at the end of June, we will be 300. Our expectation is that we will be, at the end of August, 500. With the inclusion of logistical and administrative support, our number will reach nearly 750. We are stationed on the ground in different oblasts, 10 oblasts, with 10 teams. When we reach to 500 we will be establishing also regional hubs, one in the west, one in the south, and one in the east. We are here at the invitation of the Ukrainian government, and we are also operating with the consent of 57 countries, East, West, European countries, and including Asian countries, 57 participating states. That makes us unique because we are operating with the consent of, with a big number of countries under OSCE. Our mandate is to monitor human rights situation, minority, basic freedoms, and report incidents and violation of human rights. We have to establish facts while we are reporting. It has to be objective, impartial, and balanced. And to establish facts is a challenging task. It's not an easy one. Our teams have to witness the incident, and our observations should be anchored in evidenced documentation. Half of the monitors are based in eastern and southern regions of Ukraine. Last week, I delivered my first report to OSCE Permanent Council. We were encouraged by the support voiced by the members, by the 57 participating states. We are issuing daily reports, weekly reports, and spot reports when needed for extraordinary events. Our reports has to be credible and accountable. I have to say that I have been in different parts of the country. I've been in Donetsk. I spoke to the local leaders and regional administrators. I have been twice in Odessa, once in Kharkiv, and I will be visiting other parts, visiting our teams in other parts of the country. We are here for the interest of normalization of Ukraine, a better future for Ukraine, tolerance, pluralism, and a democratic transition for Ukraine. And our job is also to foster dialogue, cooperation. And we are doing it to some extent. We start to do it to some extent in some regions. We will be extending to it. We are fully supporting this national dialogue exercise. And we are working hard, particularly in the regions. Of course, we also give a follow-up to Geneva Joint Statement. On a daily basis, we are following the implementation of Geneva Joint Statement. And we are gathering together under the chairmanship of the Foreign Ministry of Ukraine. And in that context, I have to say that it's also our mandate to look after the Geneva Joint Statement. And our mandate also includes to reach the people, to reach to the civil society, to different components of the society. We are here in the interest of the people of Ukraine. We are here in order to be helpful to them. We are also calling for an end to the harassment and detention to the people, particularly to media. Indeed, our Kiev team is looking over the detention of journalists. And very recently, the 2 journalists from the Russian Federation. We are looking after their situation. What I would like to say is, at the end of the day, I do believe that Ukrainian people, with all segments, through dialogue and reconciliation, will overcome these difficulties through peaceful means. We ask for stopping the bloodshed. We ask for the cessation of all violence. And I will repeat myself, silent majority, women, youth, and different segments of the civil society will also take part in this national dialogue, and they will make their views, concerns voiced, and they will take part, effective part in this process. I thank you for your attention. I'm ready for your questions now.
Раз, два, три. Раз, два, три. Да, вроде слышно.
So, Channel Wall, can you clarify, please, what representatives of OSCE do to help Russian journalists? Is it true that you are not permitted to contact to them, and what do you think about this situation in general? And the second one, concerning roundtables, what do you think about the fact that representatives of people who protest in Donetsk and Lugansk weren't invited to take part in these roundtables? Is it true or not? Thank you.
Well, with regard to the Russian journalists, we already started the procedure with the Ukrainian authorities, and we hope that soon we will be able to see them and speak to them. With regard to these roundtables, I think Ambassador Ischinger has already made some remarks. I don't feel the need to make some additional remarks, with regard to this national roundtable. Yeah.
Are you permitted to contact to them?
Well, this has been not the first case. We have seen other detainees in Kiev. They permitted us. They are cooperating with us. So we initiated the procedure. We expect that we would be able to see them.
We have a next question. More questions?
I've been very impressed with actually that you got any kind of results in the roundtables. Apparently, there's going to be very, very little vote in Donetsk and Lugansk, and I suggested to other people in the administration if they should have created central voting places outside the city, say of Donetsk or Lugansk, where they could vote. And do you think that's a viable thing, someplace they could protect, so you can get 30% or some vote out of those provinces?
Well, thank you for the question. Be sure that our special monitoring mission will keep an eye on the general environment surrounding the election process. But we will not be a part of the election process. This election monitoring team is going to replace us during the election process. So I will convey your point to them. I'm not in a position to make some comments about the election process. But be sure that your point will be taken by them. I will convey to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have more questions? Okay. Thank you very much for your attention.